Previously on our story, Akelo vowed to herself that she's going to stand out for those who can't stand out for themselves, especially according to appearance, disability, and she made a promise and she found a purpose in life. And with that, her and Laban continue to live their life as a happy family, as a happy couple. So we are going to dive into our next part. Months passed. Akelo and Laban's life in the new town continued to flourish. Akelo had grown in strength and confidence. She's no longer thinking about the village every day. The pain of being rejected seemed to fade, and in its place, a quiet sense of peace settled in her heart. One day, as Akelo was attending to her garden, she saw something unexpected. A group of villagers from her old home was walking towards the road towards her new house. Her heart stopped. What were they doing here? Laban noticed the group too. His face hardened, and he immediately walked over to Akelo. "Stay here, I'll speak to them." Akelo nodded. Though her heart was pounding her chest, she had not seen these people in months. She wasn't sure if they were coming to apologize or they were still hungry with her. She wasn't sure if she was ready to face them. The villagers approached and Akelo recognized the faces of those who had rejected her. They had the same cold eyes, the same dismissive expression. But there was one thing different. This time, they weren't laughing. Laban stood firm in front of them. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice steady but strong. The chief stepped forward. "We have come to speak with Akelo. We need to talk to her." Akelo felt a chill run down her spine. The chief's tone was not kind, and the way the others looked at her made her feel small again. "Laban, I'll speak to them," Akelo said quietly, walking towards the group. She knew that this was something she had to face, something she could no longer run from. The villagers stared at her as if she were a stranger. There was no warmth in their eyes, no sign of acceptance she had once hoped for. "What do you want?" Akelo asked, her voice firmer than she felt. The chief cleared his throat, glancing nervously at others. "We were wrong to judge you because of your skin. The village has been troubled ever since you left. We need your help." Akelo's heart skipped a bit. Help? After everything they had done to her, now they wanted her help. What kind of help? Akelo asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. The chief looked uncomfortable, shifting his height from foot to foot. "There has been a sickness in the village. People are afraid. They are looking for someone to help them. We've heard that you've found peace, that you've changed, and we need your wisdom and kindness." Akelo stood silent for a moment, letting the words sink in. The village had cast her out, treated her like a curse, and now they were asking for her help. It didn't make sense. Laban stepped forward, his hand gently resting on her shoulder. "Akelo, you don't have to do this. They didn't care about you before. Why should you help them now?" Akelo met Laban's gaze, and for a moment, she felt torn. Part of her wanted to say no, to close the door on the village forever. But the other part of her, one that always been kind and forgiving, wondered if she could make a difference. "I left the village because they didn't see me for who I truly was," Akelo said slowly, her voice calm but filled with emotion. "But I didn't leave my kindness behind. I didn't leave my heart behind." She looked at the villagers, her gaze steady. "I'll help you, but I want you to understand this. If you truly want to change, you need to see people for who they are. Not for the way they look, but for what's inside their hearts. If you can do that, maybe things will be different." The villagers stood silent for a moment, clearly moved by her words. Finally, the chief nodded. "We understand. We are sorry for the way we treated you, Akelo, and we will listen, we will change." Akelo didn't know if they truly meant it, but for the first time, she saw a glimmer of hope in their eyes. Maybe, just maybe, the village would change. She nodded slowly. "I'll help, but I won't stay. I have my life now, and I'm not going to let anyone take that away from me. But if I can help, I will." The chief nodded gratefully, and the villagers turned to leave, their heads low in shame. Akelo felt a weight lift from her heart, but she also knew that this was not the end. The village would have to prove that they had truly changed. It couldn't just be words, it had to be actions. As the villagers walked away, Laban turned to Akelo. "Are you sure you want to help them?" he asked softly. Akelo looked out towards the hill, her heart filled with a quiet strength. "I don't know if they can change, but I'll give them a chance." And in that moment, Akelo realized something important. True strength wasn't in running away. It was in facing the past, no matter how painful, and using that strength to build a better future. She didn't need the village's approval. She didn't need their acceptance. What she needed was to be true to herself and to live a life that reflects the love and kindness in her heart. And with that, she turned to Laban, knowing that whatever happens next, they would face it together. The village chief had promised to change, but Akelo wasn't sure what that would mean in practice. It would take more than just words to heal the wounds of the past. As she stood in her new home with Laban, she wondered if the villagers would truly change. Would they learn to see her and others like her for who they really are? We don't know that. Days passed, and the quiet life they had built together seemed to return to normal. Akelo focused on her garden, and Laban continued his work as a carpenter. But her mind was often far away, thinking about the village and the people she had left behind. Would they keep their promise? One morning, Laban came home with news that made her heart race. "Akelo," he said, his voice filled with concern. "The sickness has spread. The village is asking for your help. They say no one had been able to cure it." Akelo froze. Her first instinct was to refuse, but she had already made it clear. She wasn't going to let the village pull her back into their world of judgment and rejection. But something inside her told her that this was the moment when her decision would truly matter. "I'll go," Akelo said quietly. Laban looked at her, his eyes filled with worry. "Are you sure? They've hurt you before. Why help them now?" Akelo took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words. "I'm not helping them because they deserve it," she said. "I'm helping because I want to show them what kindness looks like. I want to help, not for their sake, but for the sake of what is right." Laban didn't say anything, but his expression softened. He knew how much this decision cost her, but he also knew Akelo's heart. She was not just strong, but she was full of compassion, even for those who have wronged her. "I'll go with you," he said finally. Akelo smiled at him, grateful for his support. Together, they set off for the village. As they walked through the familiar path towards the village, Akelo's heart began to race. She had not stepped a foot in that place for months. The memories of how they had treated her were still fresh, and she wasn't sure if she could face them again. When they arrived, the villagers waiting for them, their faces filled with worry. The chief stepped forward, his eyes full of guilt and fear. "Akelo, we are sorry. We were wrong. Please, we need your help," he said. Akello looked at the crowd of people who had once turned their back on her, and something inside her shifted. She could feel the weight of their desperation, but she also knew that words alone would not be enough to fix the damage they had caused. "I'll help," she said, her voice steady, "but I need you to understand something. This is not about me. This is all about us learning how to be better. If you want me to help, you must show that you've learned from your mistakes. You must treat everyone with respect and kindness, no matter who they are or how they look." The villagers nodded, but Akello could see that some of them still looked uncomfortable. The idea of true change was not an easy one to accept, especially when it meant letting go of the old judgments. She knelt down and began to mix herbs and plants, preparing a remedy for the sick. As she worked, the villagers gathered around, watching her every move. Some of them whispered to one another, but this time there was no laughter, no judgment, only curiosity. As Akello administered the medicine to the sick, she could feel a shift of atmosphere. The villagers were beginning to see her differently, not as a curse, but someone with knowledge, someone who can help them. For the first time, they were looking at her as an equal. That night, as Akello and Laban sat outside their house, she felt a strange peace. She had faced the past, and she had done what she thought was right. She had hoped, but more importantly, she had shown the villagers that change was possible. Laban turned to her. "Do you think they will change?" he asked softly. Akello looked up at the stars, the quiet night setting around them. "I don't know, but I do know this: change is hard. It doesn't happen overnight, but I've done my part. The rest is up to them." Laban smiled at her, his eyes filled with admiration. "You are the strongest person I know, Akello." Akello smiled back, but inside, she knew the test was still to come. The villagers would have to prove that they have truly changed. It wouldn't be easy, and there would be many challenges ahead. But Akello had done something important. She had shown them the way. Now it was up to them to walk down that path. As they sat in the quiet night, Akello felt a gleam of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the world would change. Maybe, just maybe, the village would learn to accept people for who they truly are. But she wasn't going to wait for them to change. She had already found peace within herself. And no matter what happened next, she knew she would always have the strength to move forward. As the days passed, Akello's effort to help the villagers began to show results. The sickness that had plagued the village slowly started to fade, thanks to her herbal remedies and care. Akello worked tirelessly, making sure everyone who needed help was attended to, no matter their age or status. However, the true test was not the healing of the sick, but the change within the hearts of the villagers. One morning, after a long night of preparing medicine, Akello was walking through the villagers when she overheard two women talking. They were sitting outside their hut, weaving baskets, and Akello paused to listen. "I had Akello help to heal Chifi's daughter," one woman said. "Can you believe it? She really saved her life. I never thought I would see the day when someone like her could do something like that." The other woman nodded, but her voice had doubt. "I don't know if I can forget what she looked like. I still can't understand how someone so different could be so kind." Akello felt her heart tightened, but she didn't let their word stop her. She had come this far, and she wasn't about to give up. She walked past them, pretending not to have heard their conversation, but inside, she knew there was still work to be done. That evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with orange and pink, Akello sat by the river, lost in thoughts. The villagers were beginning to change, but it was slow, and sometimes it felt like they were still holding on the old beliefs. Akelo knew that healing the sickness in their hearts would take time, but she wondered if they would truly let go of their past judgments. Laban joined her by the river, sitting down beside her. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You've done so much, Akelo. I can see the change in the people here. Even the ones who were most against you before are now starting to soften." Akelo looked at him, her eyes filled with uncertainty. "Do you think they will ever fully accept me? Or will they always see me as different?" Laban smiled softly. "I think they were already starting to see you for who you truly are. It's just going to take time. Some people take longer to change than others. But the important thing is that you've given them a chance. That's all anyone can do." Akelo nodded, taking comfort in his words. She knew Laban was right. Change wouldn't happen overnight, and the village needed time to adjust to the idea of acceptance. She had kept pushing forward, no matter how difficult it became. The next day, Akelo was surprised when the chief came to visit her. He was standing outside her home, looking unsure of himself. But there was something different in his eyes, a sincerity that hadn't been there before. "Akelo, I need to speak with you," the chief said quietly. "I wanted to thank you. The sickness is gone, and people are starting to listen. They are beginning to see you differently. I think you've opened their eyes." Akelo looked at him, waiting for him to continue. The chief took a deep breath before speaking again. "I have a request. I want you to stay, not just to heal the sick, but to help teach the village. You have wisdom, Akelo. You know how to make people see what's inside, not just the outside. Will you stay and help us change?" Akelo felt her heart race. This was the moment she has been waiting for, but now it was here. She wasn't sure of how to respond. The village had rejected her so many times before. Could she trust them now? Was it possible for them to truly change? "I'll stay," Akelo said, her voice steady. "But it won't be easy. Change is not just about asking for help. It's about truly wanting to do better. I'll help, but only if everyone is willing to look beyond their old ways and see the truth in each other." The chief nodded, his face serious. "We are ready. We will listen, and we will work together to make this village a better place for everyone." Akelo felt a mixture of relief and doubt. She knew that she was doing the right thing, but she also understood that the road ahead would not be smooth. The villagers would need guidance, and it was up to her to show them how to build a community of kindness and acceptance. Over the next few weeks, Akelo began holding meetings with the villagers. She taught them about sympathy, about understanding others, and about the importance of accepting differences. Slowly but surely, the villagers began to change. They stopped judging others based on how they look and started to see the value in kindness and respect. One evening, as Akelo sat by the fire with Laban, she watched the village from far. People were talking and laughing and helping each other. It wasn't perfect yet, but it was different. There was a sense of unity that had never been there before. Laban turned to her, a smile on his face. "You did it, Akelo. You've helped change this village." Akelo smiled back, her heart full of hope. "We did it, Laban. It's not just me, it's everyone working together." And as the stars twinkled overhead, Akelo realized that no matter what happened in the future, she had already made a difference. She had shown the village the power of kindness, and in doing so, she had created a place where everyone could feel accepted and valued. This was just the beginning. This was just a beginning, guys. This is the end of our part 3, and Is Akelo sure that the villagers are going to accept her fully? We don't know that. We don't know that. We're going to see that in part 4. Leave something in the comment section. Just let me know what you think of it. Bye bye. See you in my next video. I love you all.